You are Locked On Ole Miss, your daily podcast on the Ole Miss Rebels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast, including YouTube. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Hello, I am Steven Willis, the one and the only Steven Willis. And I'm here with Tom Vanderford, the one and the only Tom Vanderford, on his weekly appearance on the Locked On Ole Miss podcast. Tom, how you doing, buddy?
Man, I'm doing great. I am doing great. I'm a little upset about last night. I have to get to work early in the morning. So when I went to bed at halftime, we were up 7. And one of my buddies at work that I've talked about before, Cullen Essery, this kid went from Iuka to the ball game, came back from the ball game, and was at work bright and early this morning. Remember when you could do stuff like that?
Yeah.
I can't anymore. I told him, I said, you go Iron Man. But yeah, it was disappointing because that's one that kind of cancels out, Alabama. I mean, we should have won that game handily, and it just didn't work out.
Just for whatever reason, it didn't happen.
Right.
And I'm not going to relitigate it because, we have over and over again, but it obviously was not good. I mean, the good news on the subject is Ole Miss is currently number 2 in the transfer portal, and they're one transfer portal commitment away from being number 1 and winning their back-to-back national championships of the transfer portal, for whatever that's worth. But it got me thinking, and I was on the Discord a little bit earlier today, and they were talking about this, and they were trying to figure out the starting 5 on the offensive line, because that's all that anybody wants to talk about is the starting 5 on the offensive line. And my preliminary starting 5 that I've come up with, I've got Diego Pounds at left tackle. I've got Delano Townsend at left guard. I've got Bryson Sanders at center. I've got Patrick Kutas at right guard. And I've got Jayden Williams at right tackle. That is as solid of a starting 5 as I think you're going to get. They're all really good players there. Now, I do not know the second string at this point. I do not know how it fits. I think that Devin Harper has a chance to be the starting left guard by the end of the season. He's the best offensive lineman that Ole Miss has signed in 10 years.
Yep.
So, but that's 6 players that I think is going to play a lot. And honestly, if we're going to be real about this, you need about 7, maybe 8 players on your offensive line, because that's all that's going to play anyway. So realistically, in spring practice and in fall camp, Ole Miss is looking for 1, maybe 2 players to emerge.
Right. Yeah, I don't think people realize just how good our offensive line is set up. We've got a lot of talent on that line. Williams was a monster until he got hurt.
Yeah, he was a PFF rankings monster. Yeah.
So, we've got that. I think Delano Townsend's going to be a steal.
I don't know if it's just because both of them went to UAB. Okay. But I'm thinking a lot of Quincy McGee when it comes to Delano Townsend. But Delano Townsend has 3 years of eligibility too.
Yeah. And he had more than one SEC offer too. Which, that always perks my ears when I hear that.
Yeah, and the one thing that I have on this, and it's not true, I mean, it's not gospel per se, but I'm just guessing on this, but Diego Pounds could end up being the right tackle. The best offensive lineman on Ole Miss's offensive line is going to likely be the right tackle.
Okay.
Yeah, because with Austin Simmons being a lefty, the blind side has become the right tackle.
Exactly.
So
Diego Pounds is a good ball player. So
yeah, and they're both. Jayden Williams and Diego Pounds are excellent pass protectors.
Yes, they are.
Excellent.
They are.
It's one of the reasons that I think that this offensive line could get a lot better and make a big jump if you just take out the RPOs and let the offensive line kind of cook.
Yep. I agree. And you're going to do that because we're not going to see, I don't think, we're going to see Simmons run near as much as Jackson Dart did, obviously. He's going to run, but he's not going to run like that, I don't think.
Yeah, Austin Simmons is a 4.5 guy. I don't
Oh,
know if anybody, I don't know if people realize that, but he's the guy that quickly diagnoses where the ball needs to go. He's going to throw the football.
yep.
And we'll see. I think his processing ability, as far as the mental side of playing quarterback, is Eli-esque. It'll be the most Eli-like quarterback Ole Miss has had in 25 years.
I agree. He is a monster.
Yeah, super smart. He has about a class or two left, and the reason he hasn't graduated yet is because they didn't offer these classes in the fall.
Yeah.
That's the only reason that he has not graduated in his grad school already. And whenever he graduates, this is what I think is going to happen. So take this for whatever it's worth. I think that Austin Simmons is going to graduate college and put himself in the Major League Baseball draft, and he's going to find a deal similar to what A.J. Brown had and those players that just kind of had 2 weeks. You go out there to the complex, the Arizona or Florida complex, pitch, hit, whatever you do. And then after 2 weeks, you come back. It'll happen in the middle of the summer.
Yeah. Get a nice little check too. Not that he needs it. I'm sure our NIL is taking care of him as well.
Yeah, I would imagine the starting quarterback is getting taken care of pretty well. Yeah. Pretty well indeed. Anyway, when we come back, we are going to talk about basketball. We're going to move over to the season so far, and we're going to talk a little bit about the ways that we can get better. This video airs Sunday morning. Ole Miss played Missouri yesterday, but we don't know the results because we recorded this at the end of last week. But we will talk about the basketball season thus far. That's the reason Texas A&M is probably going to be mentioned more times than not. So stick around for that. Attending an NFL playoff game. Let's see. Attending the NFL playoff game is an experience like no other. The energy, the excitement, the camaraderie with the other fans are completely unmatched. I'll never forget the thrill of watching my favorite team clinch a playoff victory live. It is a moment that I will cherish forever. This year, Game Time makes it even easier to create those unforgettable memories with their new feature, Game Time Picks. It cuts through the clutter and shows you the best on the deals with great seats, so you can focus on what really matters, being at the actual game. I recently used Game Time Picks to snag tickets for an upcoming playoff game. It was a breeze. It really was. I found a super deal that gave me amazing value for incredible seats. One of my favorite features actually was being able to preview the view of that seat before buying the ticket. So helpful. With their all-in prices also, there were no surprise fees at the end of the checkout process. And the Game Time guarantee gave me total peace of mind, knowing that my tickets were secure and delivered on time. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. All right, we're going to go back to Tom Vanderford. And Tom, Ole Miss had a hard defeat against Texas A&M on Wednesday. I mean, it was a bad one too. I mean, it's a situation that Ole Miss controlled that game for 39 minutes and 45 seconds. And then Texas A&M took their first lead in the last 13 seconds of the game or something like that. But this Ole Miss basketball team, I was upset. It was a gut punch. It was something that set on them. Obviously, we don't know as of recording how Ole Miss did against Missouri. But just looking at this team so far, I think it all comes down to rebounding. If Ole Miss can competitively rebound the basketball and not get blown out like they did against Mississippi State and Texas A&M, you're not beating them.
Right. I think the big thing with A&M was, I think we only went to the line like 3 times. And we didn't do really anything in the paint. We hit a bunch of threes and that was the game we played. But I think we need to get back to basics, and get in the paint, get some boards, get fouled up so we can get some free throws. We're a pretty good free throw shooting team.
Yeah, get some free points with the shot clock or with the clock stopped. I mean, everybody, that's a beneficial thing. Like Texas A&M, normally their secret sauce is getting to the free throw line and making free throws with the clock stopped. Last night it just didn't happen for whatever reason, or when Ole Miss and Texas A&M. But I think this basketball team, looking ahead to Texas and Auburn, depending on what happened in that Missouri game, this Texas game has the potential to be unbelievably weird.
Yeah.
It just has a chance to be very, very weird. And I hope everybody understands that. Even though it's in the pavilion, it has a chance to be really weird. The Auburn game on Saturday has a chance to be, honestly, really fun.
Yeah.
They should break attendance records on that. And I'm expecting a lot of orange in the building as well.
Yeah.
Should be interesting for Ole Miss. But as this stretch builds on itself, as Ole Miss gets ready to go into February, they're in a position to where they're going to be a 5 or a 6 seed or something like that in the NCAA tournament. And I think their floor is making the NCAA tournament. It's just, I want to know what the ceiling is. The ceiling is the team that beat Alabama.
Yep.
And the floor is probably the team that struggled against State and against Texas A&M and got mauled on the boards. I'm still trying to figure out exactly where this basketball team sits.
Yeah, after the State game and then A&M, we've just, we got to get back in the win column.
Yeah. And if they do, and they go into the Texas game 5-2, that's a whole lot better than going into that Texas game 4-3.
Yep.
Because at 5-2, everything's okay. You got your Texas game to get the win potentially at 6-2, and then all of a sudden you have Auburn coming in and you're 6-2, and that has a chance to be every bit of fun that we think it can be.
Exactly.
So we'll see exactly how that goes. Thanks again for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast, including YouTube. Tune into that. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Tom Vanderford, what do you got planned for this weekend, buddy?
Oh, buddy, I'm just going to relax.
Hey, don't blame me there.
Yeah.
I hope everybody is enjoying their weekend, relaxing where they can, and enjoying tomorrow. We will have the Locked On Ole Miss podcast as normal. Hope you enjoy that. Take care. Tom, take care, buddy. Thank you very much, and we'll talk to y'all later.
Yes, sir. Hotty toddy.
Hotty toddy.